What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're jumping over to the Banana Cup for only the third time ever to take a look at the fastest version of its fastest course, Donut Plains 3 at 200cc. On April 29th, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 59.659 seconds by the French player Mick. Fast forward to just over a month ago on January 10th, 2022, and the record was brought down to 55.415 seconds by the Canadian player Eternal X. That's a whopping 4.2 second improvement between records and a 7.1% faster time. Our former world record holder Mick has broken basically 69 world records across 14 unique runs and has spent nearly 400 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Eternal X has only broken 21 world records across 4 unique runs, but has spent around 450 days holding one of his 3 current world records. Not bad, eh? At pre-release, the world record was well over a minute, but it quickly got under a minute mostly thanks to Mick and Doodle. Mick would continue to bring the time down by multiple tenths at a time in June of 2017 and became the first player to go 57. 307 days later, Kevin put an end to this reign and ushered in a new wave of players aiming to take the time down further. That new wave included Alberto, who would start to put up some pretty fast times in August of 2018. Such improvement took him all the way down to 56 seconds, and a day after he got the sub, he put up this 56.88 that would stand as the world record for over 470 days. Panda then stepped in and took the record for himself, but Alberto responded pretty quickly, but would eventually fall to Genzua right around 56.2. Now it was time for Genzua and Eternal X's duel. The last 12 world records were broken by these two as they exchanged blows in the form of knocking mere milliseconds off their records, all the way down to this 55.4. In total, the record was broken 56 times by 13 different players. These loadouts are pretty well matched compared to the last 3 episodes. Mick goes with the combo of Yoshi driving the Streetle with the roller wheels and the super glider. Eternal X sticks with the usual combo of Baby Daisy driving the Biddy with the rollers, but swaps out the paper glider for the parachute instead. Looking at these stats side by side, you might wonder how Eternal X took over 4 seconds off Mick's former world record. Well, the correct answer is better driving, but the higher acceleration, handling, and mini turbo stats also have something to do with it. Unlike previous episodes though, Mick's loadout isn't a horrible choice either. He's just a point behind him in the mini turbo and even less in acceleration. But like all current versus former world records, it's best to just stay away from those former loadouts. This course is legit one of the only SNES courses I actually enjoy. It's scenic, simple, chaotic, and there are a ton of opportunities for turn skips and no item shortcuts at 200cc. Let's take a look at how both players ran the course. Mick hits a rocket start and immediately drifts towards this grass patch. He'll use his first mushroom to cut the first corner out and carry that drift all the way to this hill and fly up around this wall for the Ultra Mini Turbo. Eternal X starts off the same way with the rocket start and mushroom cut here, but when he emerges out of the water, he's much closer to the wall, which means he's on a better line to just barely scrape around this turn to close out S1. That looked pretty similar, but thanks to better positioning and a slightly longer lasting mini turbo, Eternal X comes out ahead by 0.3 of a second going into S2. Mick heads back underwater and grabs a tight super mini turbo around this next turn before emerging. After that, he'll hop around a bit and adjust his line before starting this next drift into S3. Eternal X also goes for this tight super mini turbo around the first turn, but chains that with another super mini turbo as he carries this drift out of the water, over the hump, and then across this small grass patch near the start of S3. That's a really tight window to chain another drift while staying on that line, so it's really quite impressive that he pulled this off. In doing that, Eternal X increased his lead to just under half of a second going into S3. Mick finishes this drift for the Super Mini Turbo and rides down the back straight before chaining a normal and Super Mini Turbo around the last few turns to close out lap 1. Eternal X hits a jump boost as he comes out of the grass and rides down the back straight before chaining those same 2 Mini Turbos to close out the lap. Surprisingly, S3 is where Eternal X gained more on his lead than through the first 2 sections combined. Not entirely sure how that much time was tacked onto the lead, but now he's ahead by 1.2 seconds after one lap. Let's put both players side by side here for a second. Through S1, they essentially grab the same shortcut, but we see right about here why one does it better. There's Mick all the way over in France away from the wall, while Eternal X kisses the wall for the second lap in a row as he creeps around it for the tightest possible line up to this point. He's now up by nearly 1.6 seconds at the end of S1. Mick grabs the same Super Mini Turbo out of the water as he did on lap 1. Then he hops around a bit as he makes his way to the end of S2 where he'll start his next drift. Eternal X only grabs the one Super Mini Turbo around this next turn and comes flying out of the water before adjusting himself a bit at the end of S2. Nothing too different here, except Eternal X gained more on his lead through this S2 than he did on lap 1. It's actually more than double the amount of time he gained here. Do I know why? Absolutely not, so I'm just going to say that after another section of mini turbos and faster lines, blah blah blah, Eternal X's lead now sits at 2 seconds at the end of S2. In S3, Mick grabs that Super Mini Turbo and grabs a bit of air on these mole paths before chaining the same 2 mini turbos he did around the final turns on lap 1, this time with a tighter Super Mini Turbo. Eternal X grabs his Super Mini Turbo, then hits a jump boost before chaining 2 mini turbos together. On the second one, he carries it into the grass just far enough so he can still get the boost from it and cut out the final turn. After that, he'll chain another mini turbo just before crossing the finish line. After another crazy lap, Eternal X has basically shut the door on any opportunity for Mick to catch up. His lengthier mini turbos and damn near perfect lines have established 2/3 of this world record run, where he's up by 2.7 seconds after lap 2 and outsplit Mick by 1.5 seconds. The final lap for Mick consists of a semi-subpar mushroom cut around this first turn. Once he finally makes it around the wall, he follows that up with a quick Super Mini Turbo before hopping around up to the turn where he'll brake drift heavily to keep this turn tight and come down the backstretch to grab 2 more mini turbos to close out the race. Eternal X copies his lap 2 approach and gets this same mushroom cut on a better line. He'll kiss the wall one more time before going back underwater and getting that Super Mini Turbo around the next turn. As he flies on out of there, he'll grab another tight Super Mini Turbo before getting a jump boost and chaining the final few mini turbos around the last few turns to close out the race. He'd end up posting a time that was 4.2 seconds faster than Mick's former world record. So by brake drifting less and staying on a pretty tight line at basically max speed, Eternal X was able to reclaim the top time on this course after a lengthy battle with Genzua that started nearly 0.8 of a second ago. I wanted to have Eternal X on here himself to go over his run, but sadly, the timing didn't work out, so we couldn't make that happen. Too bad, eh? Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. The worldwide top 10 consists of 7 national and 4 continental record holders. At the top is Eternal X, slightly behind him with the only other 55 in the world is Genzua, and in third place is his Spanish rival Alberto. The 4 and 5 spots on this top 10 belong to English record holder 4 Laps to Win and French record holder Army. The next 3 players share a mere 7 1,000ths of a second in separation and consist of names such as American record holder Technical, Defender, and Grant. And rounding out the top 10, we have Alpha and Panda, who are just a few hundredths apart themselves. It's pretty clear to see that Eternal X and Genzua have distanced themselves pretty far ahead of their competitors, making the only real competition for the top time consist of these 2 players. On any given day, either of them could walk away with the top time, it's just a matter of when at this point. That's all for episode 68. Hope you guys liked it. We're only 2 episodes away from capping off season 7, so be sure to stay tuned for the next 2 weeks. If you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends and comment on which course you'd like me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.